My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your co-host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave Dubow. And tonight on the show, I've got a young man who has put up some big numbers, 6 figures in his first year as a wholesaler. People say, oh, it's easy to do wholesaling and stuff, but break 6 figures in a year and come back and talk to me. Gunnar Morgan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I'm a huge wholesale fan. I love the business, selling paper, the acquisitions, the hunters find deals, and then you make the money, sell the meat. So
Yep.
how did you get into that business? What drew you? It's not an obvious thing for a young guy to go, hey, I'm gonna start wholesaling. So how did you get into the business?
Yeah. So getting into it, I would say in 2020 is when I first heard of it. It was on TikTok. Mr. King Kong himself, the wholesale guru. I saw a couple of his TikToks, had no idea what it was. I thought it was just, go on PropStream, buy a couple lists, and then, you're making money. It's not that easy. So I tried PropStream out for the 7-day free trial, had no idea what it was, and then just kind of threw it off. And then as the year kept going, saw more and more TikToks. I ended up coming across someone who was local to me. He was about 45 minutes away. He was wholesaling,
And
and
that's
he
in
was,
Atlanta?
yeah, it was in Atlanta, and he was getting pretty big. So I gave him a follow on Instagram, shot him a DM, and he was in the process of scaling his business, so he didn't have time to teach me. And come 2021, I saw that he posted on his Instagram story that he was hiring, and I had no idea he was hiring for a lead manager. I had no idea what a lead manager was, but I was like, why not? I want to get into it. Feel like this is a great shot. So I applied, got the job, and basically got paid to learn the whole ins and outs of real estate.
Nice. So yeah, it's kind of how I got started. I just went in and someone taught me, and to make some money at the same time was great. So what did you find to be the your unfair advantage in the business? What comes easy to you that other people might find difficult?
Yeah, so actually, when I first started working with the company, I had no idea what I was doing, like no idea whatsoever. They were like, yeah, you're just gonna call these sellers and you're gonna set up appointments for our acquisitions team. And if it goes under contract and we end up selling it, we'll pay you 5% commission. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be easy. And so come to find out, it was not that easy. It was actually very, very hard for me to get started. And it took me 4 months to get my first deal under contract with the company. So after about 4 months of learning everything, that's when I started reading more books on sales and watching more YouTube videos and how I can get better at sales. And I basically just became obsessed with learning how to talk to these people, and eventually became top sales within the company and learned how to do it, plus on my own, like learning as well. So that was probably my strong suit now, is definitely talking to people, I would say.
Yeah, so that does sound like the natural progression. So there's people go in 2 directions from that point. Either they quit or they get better. So
Yeah.
what did you attribute your best growth position in talking to people? Like, what was it? A program, a book, a mentor? What was it that, got you that edge to really break through that ceiling, that difficult moment?
Yeah. So in the company, the owner was he had like a mentorship with Steve Trang, and Steve Trang had us get on this coaching call every Wednesday, and I would just take notes and, learn how to build rapport with sellers, also like match their tonality. And basically, at the end of the day, you're just communicating with another human, and you have to convince this person to trust you to buy their house over the phone.
Yeah.
And basically, it sounds so bizarre just to say, "Oh yeah, sell me your house." I'm a random guy off the street. So building that trust with another human and just having a conversation at the end of the day was how I came to, figure out that that's probably the easiest way to go about it.
Nice. Yeah, closing over the phone, that's a whole other thing because then
Oh
you've
yeah.
never even seen it. So a lot of times wholesaling is like people are like local, they go and they're knocking on doors or going to see it. So you're pretty much buying and selling contracts in the air, which is awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
um, what are you doing now?
Yeah, so I'm still wholesaling. Come the end of 2022, um, I left that company
Hmm.
and decided I was going to do my own thing and build my own team. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm basically just wholesaling in 4 different markets to, make some quick cash and then eventually invest that into long-term rentals.
Yeah, quick cash, but you're gonna need more help. It sounds like. So what's the ideal candidate for the help you're looking for?
As of right now, I have one lead manager and then I have a cold caller who is cold calling the leads that from lists that I pull, and then I'm also running Facebook ads.
Hmm.
So what I'm looking to do in the next, 2 to 3 months is hire two more lead managers that can dial um, the leads that the cold caller pushes to me. And
Hmm.
then also we're upping our ad spend on Facebook. So I'm going to get a lot more volume there. And I'll be looking for a lead manager to hire for that position too.
So what type of person? Because what I found was the people who come into real estate typically have no experience. They're just like,
Right.
I need change. So they're looking for change. What's some like soft skills or something like that you would like to see the people that are looking to work for you or with you? What are some like experience points or something that you would find interesting or valuable for your business?
Honestly, man, I would say no experience, honestly, because I feel like I'm good enough. I'm obviously not the best, but I'm definitely good enough to teach these people the ways that I was taught. And I came from no experience, had no idea what wholesaling was, really knew nothing about real estate, knew none of the terms or anything.
Hmm.
And the way I was taught was just have a growth mindset. If you can see yourself doing this, then, I think that's the only skill set you need.
Yeah, the growth mindset. I had call center experience, so being on the phone didn't scare me. Calling real estate agents didn't scare me.
Nice.
So call center experience is one thing I look forward to for people when I'm looking to bring them in. But I think most important, like you said, it's growth mindset. Someone who's like willing to do what it takes and learn what it takes to do this to really break that break that thing because it's hard. And then all of a sudden it's like, aha,
Yeah.
now I got it. So you can really break through that ceiling, but you gotta like persevere, um, over time. So
Hmm.
let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about any sort of let's talk about the obstacles involved. So you left the company for whatever reason. What's the biggest obstacle that you're facing other than the hiring right now? We had talked before the show about other markets and things like that. So what's the biggest obstacle facing your growth in 2023?
Biggest obstacle of this year is when I went into Texas, because I was in the Texas market, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have any contacts out there. My only contacts I had were in Georgia. I had a couple of contacts in Florida, and then I had one contact in North Carolina. And then I heard online that Texas market was going insane, so I was like, oh,
Hmm.
why not just try Texas? So I feel like I went a little too wide. Um, and majority of the ad spend was in Texas because it's so big. I was getting deals in the middle of nowhere, had no idea where they were, close to the border of Mexico, where I have no idea who's buying out there. Um, and for a month, I would say it was about a month or two, I was getting nothing but Texas leads, and I had no idea how to price it. I didn't have MLS access. So that was a big turning point where I was like, okay, look, I'm spending X amount of dollars and not getting any return. We definitely have to cut back some. And that and not being local to Texas and not having any connections out there, that was a huge obstacle.
Yeah. Did you end up making a trip out to Texas to like banging around, or you just said nah?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I was just like, you know what? I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like how I can't really see the prices online because it's a disclosure state or a non-disclosure state, one of
Yeah,
those.
it's a
Um,
little bit of blinded. Yeah.
yeah, so you can't see what houses have been selling for unless you have MLS access, which I don't. So yeah, I just said, you know what? Let's not mess with Texas anymore.
Yeah, I remember I went out there in 2016 and we just pulled like we met an agent, a top agent, and they gave us like a list of something like 20 or 30 properties. And we
Hmm.
just set the GPS and drove for like 3 days to figure out like what's worth what. So that's an
Really?
interesting, yeah, it's an interesting learning experience because um, I'm from Canada, we're from Canada here, and we have no disclosure. Like everything's blinded. So we have to do it that way every day. Every way
Wow.
is exactly like the states that you hate, the ones that you find difficult to work in, that's every single
Yeah.
province in Canada. So it wasn't anything new to us. We just went down there and put the GPS on and drove up and looked at the house and said, "Oh, this is what $196,000 looks like in Denton, Texas." So yeah, so where's the focus now? You said you shifted to I think you had mentioned Alabama, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so
How's
I
that going?
have it's going pretty good. We just shifted this month.
Hmm.
It was like 3 weeks ago. We've gotten a good amount of leads already in Alabama, but we
Hmm.
haven't closed anything out there yet. But the reason we switched is because I have two, I think three connections in Alabama.
Hmm.
One's in Birmingham. He's a huge buyer. And so, if I can feed these buyers deals and I can also profit from that, then, that's perfect.
So where do you see yourself at 32? A lot of times I don't ask that question because everyone's already 32, but tell me what
Yeah.
10 years from now, what ideally you'd like to see your real estate. Are you still doing real estate? And if so, what
Mm,
type?
that's a great question. 10 years from now, I definitely see myself as a multi-million dollar investor. Um, my thought process now is, that's 10 years down the road. So in the next 10 years, I'll definitely own over 100 rentals. That's the goal. Because my goal with wholesaling is just using it as a channel to bring in cash to invest in the long-term rentals in Section 8 property. So that's kind of the main goal. So definitely 10 years down the road, having over 100 rentals, maybe keeping the wholesaler business going, but we'll see how that goes when the time comes. But as of right now, just using it as a channel to invest in cash flowing rentals.
Awesome, awesome. So, you know, you are relatively young in comparison to a lot of the investors that are in the game. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that. How do you navigate that when raising capital? You go to a guy, he's like 55 or 65, and you're like, can, how do you navigate the age? What's the word? Discrimination. How do you navigate the
Yeah,
discrimination of being a young man in a business of people that are typically older than you?
I think just showing them my track record of what I've done in such a short amount of time. I mean, I turned 23 next week and I've made six figures in my first full year wholesaling. Um, and that is coming from not really knowing what I'm doing and just kind of trying it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I definitely have, a clear vision of what I'm doing, but it's also, I never hired a mentor or like a guru, so to say, to teach me the ins and outs. I just worked for a company
Mm-hmm.
and learned the ins and outs, but there's still things that come up daily that, you know, I have to ask people like, oh, what do I do when this happens? Um, but yeah, I would just say definitely my track record with what I've done in such a short amount of time, even, being 22 years old.
So you'd mentioned that you and just for people listening at home, it's not like he hasn't raised money, guys. This guy's already raised what was it, just shy of $300,000 for a flip that you did in blanking on where it was, but I think I
It
got
was
pretty
in
close to the numbers. So
Leland. Yeah,
there you go.
we raised 210. So it was close. We actually listed the property. It was a wholesale transaction, but we listed it on the MLS. Um, and basically how we do that is just with this process called a novation. But in North Carolina, it's different than Georgia. I couldn't be written into the special stipulation section to where I could collect my assignment fee
Yeah.
that way. So we had to double close on the transaction. And basically, I reached out to a bunch of lenders that were known through kind of the investor community. And they basically told me, oh no, you have to put this much down for us to lend you this much. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, what am I going to do? So I reached out to one of my buddies who had a really good private lender that he said he always used. And I asked her, and she first said no. At first, she was like, no, wait until you have a buyer lined up. So we went through the listing process. We ended up getting a cash buyer at 260, and I was under contract with the seller at 210. So this private lender brought 210 to the table, and we closed the transaction. Made, I think it was shy of like 42 grand after all commissions and everything. Um, but yeah, that was the first one I did, and that was in Leland, North Carolina.
Nice, nice. So um as far as acquisitions goes, what what do you look for when buying property to wholesale? What's your, criteria when you're out there looking?
Yeah, so the typical wholesaler is ugly houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, my Facebook ads, we do run like, oh, we buy ugly houses, and things like that. But right now, since we're shifting into cold calling, I'm going into the hedge fund space. I have a connection with a guy who works with a ton of hedge funds, and he sent me their buying criteria. So now we're marketing strictly to that buying criteria, when it comes to what the hedge funds are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but let's say, a property is in somewhat decent condition, um, and, they're asking slightly above what we could sell it to a cash buyer for. Luckily, I've learned the process of novations and an MLS strategy, and also have resources of private lenders where we can wholesale it, which is basically just taking it down with private money and then relisting it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking for all sorts of properties. It really doesn't matter, the condition, the size, the age of it. We're looking for all sorts of properties because we have multiple different ways to sell those deals.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, we could talk about this all day, but you've got wholesales to do, and time flies when you're having fun. So if people want to, get a hold of you, they want to work with you, they want to, talk with you in that regards, or even work for you, start working into your business there. How do they find out more? How do they connect with you? What should they do?
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on Instagram. Um, my Instagram is just first name, last name, Gunnar Morgan with two N's. And
Yeah,
then
spell it for the people in the car because they're gonna miss that. They're gonna think it's an ER. So it's
yeah, it's AR,
okay,
GUNNAR,
and then
and then
Morgan,
Morgan with
MORGAN.
two N's at the end. I'm pretty
Perfect.
active on there. I sometimes post deal breakdowns on TikTok. The link to my TikTok is in my Instagram. So yeah, if you guys want to get in touch with me, if you guys have any um, experience in real estate or have no experience at all and want to get started, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm pretty responsive.
Yeah, Instagram is the spot these days, especially for it's like the new business card. So
Yeah,
yeah, I really appreciate having you on the show, and I think people are going to get a lot out of the belief that, hey, you're never too young to get started. I wish I would have got started sooner, but the second best time, it's the cliche real estate statement, is now, guys. So if you want to
absolutely.
get started, and I really appreciate your time, Gunnar.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.